The big question is, how did West Ham beat Liverpool 3-2 yesterday? It's the video you've been waiting for. It's the breakdown that you've been waiting for. I'm going to discuss in this video, of course, the key moments in the game, how West Ham were able to beat Liverpool. We know set pieces. I'm going to talk tactically about some of West Ham's shape and why it was such an impressive performance. And of course, we will get into the mentality of this West Ham side, which in every single interview before and after games, we're seeing that they want to go and compete. On a brief note on the game generally and getting that type of result, for me, that's West Ham breaking the ceiling mentally, because sometimes against these big teams, particularly last season, I thought West Ham lacked ambition at times. We went away from the effectiveness of our game plan, and ultimately we allowed other teams to dictate the tempo. Now, I do appreciate in this game, for the first half, West Ham did allow Liverpool to have a lot of the ball, but the ambition in the second half and the bravery in the second half was what won us the game, as well as key moments of quality. So, of course, let's talk about the game plan. We went really 4-5-1 out of possession, which does make perfect sense from, I guess, a perspective of dealing with those central areas. We talk about how Liverpool, in particular, you've got Henderson. I think at times you'll get Jota dropping deep. Salah will come in the inside pockets as well. You've got Oxlade-Chamberlain, all of them occupying those areas. West Ham had to be able to deal with that. We had to be able to A, negate the space a little bit, but B, have players in there that were willing to press. And a huge part of that, and this is saved for a completely different video, is Pablo Fornals. Now, I would have thought the logical thing would have been to play Pablo on the left, you deal with the right-hand side, you stop Trent getting service into the box, and you try and negate the likes of Henderson and Salah on that side. But Moyes went Benrahma on the left and Fornals in the central pockets, and we really saw a perfect Pablo Fornals performance. A lot of the times, listen, he's fantastic in the wide areas. We know his pressing ability. We know his ability to link up, how good he is in the overload with his movement. But what he was able to do in that game in supporting both Declan Rice and Thomas Souček, who again positionally were fantastic, it meant that Liverpool really couldn't get into our final third. And it negated how many different ways Liverpool could create opportunities against us. It had to come from wide. It had to come from the switch. Now, in the first 5 minutes, West Ham were very aggressive in terms of, let's play on the front foot a little bit. Let's get bodies forward. Let's squeeze Liverpool. A dangerous tactic that I think West Ham thought, if we can hurt Liverpool, particularly in those transitions when they're not set, we've got a real chance. And obviously that proved the case in the second half. But I think as the game went on in the first half, and some of the times West Ham were out of shape, they had the out ball in Trent Alexander-Arnold, particularly down the right. I think Salah's movement, of course, we know he's a world-class player, was impressive. And the timing of his runs as well between Cress and at the time between Angelo, I think gave West Ham a little bit of a cause for concern. It meant that we couldn't be on the front foot as we wanted to. It meant that we couldn't even really try and get a hold of the game. So, of course, we did see that low block for large periods. Listen, the corner is Moyes to a perfection. And to be fair, for both set pieces as well, in terms of how West Ham identified Liverpool's weakness, they can't deal with overloads in the box. We saw it against Brentford. They conceded a number of goals from that. And for me, I still think it's a Pablo Fornals goal. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe Alisson did get a nick on it. But just positionally, where Ogbonna is, it's crucial. Where Mickey is, it's perfect. It's exactly what West Ham needed to do. And we took our opportunity. But I did expect for large periods of that first half, West Ham would sit deep. And just how disciplined we were was encouraging. I know people don't look at it like that because you want to get at Liverpool. And there were opportunities. And we did find gaps, particularly in the second half. But you've got to pick your moments, particularly when you are West Ham, particularly when Liverpool and those transitions in build-up, that they're a nightmare to deal with tactically. Where Moyes deserves unbelievable credit, and of course where the players deserve unbelievable credit, is the second half. Now, he came out after the game and said, we had to be more aggressive. We had to offer more. There were opportunities, and common phrase is, let's get at Liverpool. Depends how you do it. I expect West Ham just had to be braver in the counter. And we absolutely were. And even our shape changed slightly. You see, Pablo was getting alongside Mikel Antonio. He was pressing a little bit further forward. And whilst I don't think it was effective necessarily, it just put a little bit more pressure on Liverpool to try and play around us, to play a little bit horizontal, to not play through us at times, to not give them enough possession when they're in our final third to create. That was really important. But the second part of this, of course, is the fact that someone like Pablo Fornals and Mikel Antonio, when you get the turnover, are already there. They're already at Virgil van Dijk and they're already at Matip. And that was, of course, crucial for our second goal. The fact that Bowen, again, and again, this is about Bowen in terms of quality as well. And this is where a lot of West Ham players deserve a lot of credit, not just in terms of Moyes and game plan, but individually. Bowen's run is phenomenal. Now, in those moments, West Ham have got to be brave. You've got to be willing to take on 3-4 players. And that was the difference for me in this game. Not only was it, and you see, of course, for Fornals' goal, Mickey's making the run. He's actually occupying Van Dijk, which is exactly what he needed to do. Bowen's moment of quality, and of course, the pass is phenomenal as well, but also Fornals' run. West Ham committed bodies forward, and they were able to do that because of the position of Fornals and Antonio, and again, the ball carrying ability of Jarrod Bowen. That was the difference in that second half. West Ham were willing to commit. And a couple of times, West Ham, with that overload, caused Liverpool nightmares. They couldn't live with it because they couldn't set. They play the high line. And it's the first time we've seen West Ham against the Liverpool team exploit the high line. Yes, you need quality. Yes, you need to be defensively solid. But that high line is there to be exploited. And West Ham are good enough to do it. And we proved that yesterday. Now, Zuma's goal. And again, where Jarrod Bowen deserves a hell of a lot of credit. And listen, I hope Southgate's now seriously starting to look at him for England with an opportunity with some of these qualifiers. The delivery, the level of delivery to the far post. You can talk about Alisson's position, and I do understand. I thought Alisson was weak yesterday in terms of a goalkeeping performance. I don't think you can get too far away from that. But he's put it right at the back stick. It's so difficult. Liverpool on the best of days struggle against set pieces. The fact that West Ham, overload the box, that's hugely important, of course, to occupy the defenders and put them under a lot of pressure. But B, Zuma's movement to the back stick and the perfection of the delivery is exactly why we scored that goal. And we could, and ultimately, I think we had chances with Mickey. We had another chance with Jarrod Bowen. It's only because of the class of Virgil van Dijk and his positioning as a centre-back, which made it very difficult for us to go and nick and even go further forward. But that, for me, was amazing to see for a period of around, I'd say probably 20, 25 minutes, West Ham believing that they could go and hurt Liverpool and they could hurt them in the final third and hit them out of possession. And to be honest, I think where it was slightly frustrating, of course, Origi gets the goal. It is a great finish, but it did come from West Ham receding and being deeper and deeper and deeper. And of course, when you start to get to that neck of the woods in the game against Liverpool, in fact, what I would argue is you see Mane's chance at the end, you see Origi's goal. That's what would have happened if West Ham had continued to play that game plan in the first half. So I'm kind of a little bit on the fence about it. I'm very patient with it. I understand the importance of it. I understand the importance of shape. But the fact that Moyes said, we can go for it now. We need to exploit them now. And if you want to be defensive, and I don't agree with being in such a low block at times, fine. But you've taken your opportunities. You've been clinical when you got the chance. And you've beaten Liverpool, for me, the best team in the league, on merit and on performance and on individual quality. Before I end this, and again, I don't want to talk too much about individual performances, although there were some absolutely amazing performances from some of our players yesterday, including Pablo Fornals. I think the way that some of our players are perceived has to change in terms of what I'm hearing. You cannot beat Liverpool. You can beat Liverpool, or you can get a good result against Liverpool with a good game plan, which is exactly what we had. You can have one with an ambitious game plan. We've seen teams across the league cause Liverpool issues. Brighton did it the other week. Where we deserve and where players like Bowen and Fornals and Antonio deserve a lot of credit, albeit, listen, it wasn't Mickey's best game by a long stretch, despite getting man of the match, is the quality of the pass, the ball carrying, the pressing. Pablo, in terms of his positionally defensively, his pressing was superb, whether he was deep alongside Declan Rice or Souček, or whether he was further forward with Mikel Antonio. His build-up in the transitions as well, and him finding pockets of space and developing build-up play was absolutely crucial for us to maintain being a threat. And in these type of games, you cannot afford to sit deep for the entirety of the game. When you get your opportunity to break and you get your opportunity to transition, you have to take that moment. And the fact that we showed impetus, first and foremost, mentality, but quality. Quality is absolutely there. So I feel that in that game, West Ham really broke a ceiling for me in terms of what I expect. Probably not what I expect from West Ham, but what I can see us doing. Because the players, listen, they look so together at the minute. They're an unbelievable group of players, their mentality, everything like that. But to do that against Liverpool at home and really showcase how good of players they are, I think for them is brilliant. And it's brilliant for us. And of course, I think we roll on and look, we got Wolves away. Every game in the Prem's a tough game. But to be honest, I think that's a bit of a sliding doors moment for me. I'm going to leave it there because I'm desperate to go and talk Pablo Fornals, Aaron Creswell, Thomas Souček with a hugely underrated performance in terms of filling in with the half spaces, the discipline of the double pivot, Kurt Zouma in terms of the run for the goal. I could go on and on and on, but I just wanted to say that in terms of game plan, in terms of ambition, in terms of the willingness to go and beat Liverpool, it was all there. And I hope them as a team and us as a fan base, we can now believe that We can take any team on in the league. We can give any team a game and we can beat any team. And that is a hugely important statement. Take care. Enjoy the rest of your day. Loads more coming this week, and all things West Ham. We'll talk about that. I want to get some transfer topics out there. I spoke about Belotti, Holicek, the link up possibly with Lingard. Where would Lingard fit into a West Ham team? There is so much coming up on the channel. So if you aren't subscribed and you are watching this, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, and of course we will reconvene. Let's be honest, probably tomorrow.